On August 31st of last year, the newly appointed police commissioner announced to the nation that within 1 year, he would be able to bring the country's crime situation under control. 3 years before that, following the September 2015 general elections, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced that crime was high on the PNM agenda. And 5 years prior to that, the Kamla Persad-Bissessar-led government promised to the country that she too would be able to control crime. Yet within the past 2 weeks, over 40 people have been murdered across the nation. And by the time this video is ready to be edited and posted to Facebook, many more may have died. And while this video is about MSJ crime policy, here are a few things for you to consider. The establishment, and now even corporate media, is attempting to place the burden of fighting crime on us, the average citizens. They are calling on us to root out the criminals in our communities and to hand them over to the law. Now, while community mobilization is important in tackling crime, can we trust that those charged with protecting us have upheld their end of the social contract? Remember that just a few weeks ago, a state witness was gunned down in front of a child minutes after his graduation ceremony had ended. And who knows how many other state witnesses have been killed over the past few years, or how many criminal elements have proliferated into every rank of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Can we trust either the government or the opposition? It is a well-documented fact that both the red and the yellow have both been responsible for contributing financial aid to criminal gangs throughout the country. This has happened to the point where even the government has started to doubt its own capabilities in fighting crime. Because crime is not the result of lazy youths or silent, compliant citizens. It is the result of people in high positions profiting off of illegal activity. The billionaires who sponsor political parties, the banks who launder the drug money, and especially the security companies charged with transporting the incarcerated. With all of these things in mind, we should understand by now that the fight against crime involves more than just brash police commissioners and more police bullets. It involves massive reform of our education system, our economic system, and the institutions of justice. An MSJ government will seek to implement party campaign finance reform within days of our election. This law would now make it legally mandatory for political parties to publicly produce their income and expenditure reports. Registered parties will also be able to apply for state funding. After all, we live in a democracy, and democracy will be funded by the state and not by private interests. Secondly, institutions such as the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Board of Inland Revenue, and the Customs and Excise Division will be given the ability to independently investigate questionable financial activity. This is a necessary step to crack down on white-collar crime and the drug trade. Finally, we will restore trust in our protective services. The low crime detection rate that has been plaguing the police service will be corrected with improving the forensics capabilities of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We will seek to employ a new generation of crime scene investigators and forensic pathologists. The penal system will be transformed in order to reflect a genuine attempt at rehabilitating prisoners. The police, the political establishment, and now even the corporate media is attempting to place the burden of fighting crime on us, the citizens. They are calling on us to root out the criminal elements in our communities and to hand them over to the law. While community mobilization is important in the fight against crime, it is worth asking, do you trust those charged with protecting us, responsible with upholding their end of the social contract? Remember, just weeks ago, a state witness was gunned down in front of a child after he graduated from school that day. And who knows how many other state witnesses have been gunned down in the past, or how many criminals have proliferated within every rank of the police service. And what about the government and the opposition? It is a well-documented fact that both the red and the yellow have both contributed to the rise of criminal enterprises by funding criminal gangs throughout the country. This has happened to the point where even the government has started to question its own crime-fighting capabilities. Because crime is not the result of lazy youths or silent, compliant citizens. It is the result of people in high places being able to profit off of illegal activity. The millionaires donating to political parties, the banks that launder drug money, and the security companies who transport the incarcerated are all guilty of profiting off of illegal activity. The billionaires who sponsor political parties, the banks who launder the drug money, and the security companies charged with transporting the incarcerated are all profiting off of crime. With all of these things in mind, it is important to consider that the fight against crime has more to do with brash police commissioners and more police bullets. It involves a genuine attempt to reform our economy, our education system, and our institutions of justice. It starts with campaign finance reform. An MSJ government would make it legally mandatory for registered political parties to publicly disclose their income and expenditure. Because for all the talk about integrity, we are actually the only political party that does this. Secondly, registered political parties would also be able to access funding from the state. After all, we live in a democracy, and democracy should be financed by the public, not by private corporate interests. Reforms will be made to give the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Board of Inland Revenue, and the Customs and Excise Division the ability to conduct independent investigations into suspicious financial activity. This is an important tool in the fight against white-collar crime and the drug trade. And finally, we will restore trust in the institutions charged with protecting us. The low detection rate that has been plaguing the police service will be corrected by enhancing the forensics capabilities of the police service. We will seek to employ a new generation of forensic pathologists and crime scene investigators to deal with crime detection. Secondly, the penal systems will be transformed in order to facilitate a greater capacity for the rehabilitation of our prisoners. No more would the incarcerated return to the prison environment after being released, as has happened in the past and is continuing to happen. The Police Complaints Authority will be strengthened in order to better deal with the problem of rogue police officers in our society. There are many more strategies for fighting crime outlined in our crime policy that you can find on our website. We would like to hear from you. We would like to discuss more ideas with you in the future, so be sure to subscribe to our social media channels. And if you have any questions about any more crime policies, there are many more strategies for dealing with crime that you can find on our crime policy outlined on our website, msjtnt.org. We would like to discuss more ideas with you in the future, so be sure to subscribe to our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to leave a comment and someone will respond to you.